Merry meet and welcome. Today we're going to be taking on the Korean dish Japchae. I probably mispronounced that. That's featured in The Sims. And I think this is with anything because I think we're just not used to prepping as much as we could and being in the kitchen. So, or maybe that's just my own childhood, whatever, we're getting into it. It was just a little bit hard to get here. I really believe though in prepping your vegetables. So for instance, I have already prepped everything. I know the spinach is like covering it all, but we have our onions, we have our scallions, we have shiitake mushrooms, and we have carrots already all prepped and ready to go. For our meat, what I did is I made a marinade, and I had it marinated for overnight, maybe 48 hours. I can't remember when I started this, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I just did like soy sauce, some liquid smoke, and like some herbs, or like some like that dry rub seasoning kind of stuff. So just things that I was like, if I was marinating regular beef, what would I try to make it taste like? And so this is kind of just like what I threw together. I honestly have never made a marinade myself without directions, so we're gonna see how this turns out. I think I could have just done plain mushrooms. I kind of wanted to go a little bit extra since there's already regular mushrooms. These are portobello mushrooms for that reason as well, sliced up. So yeah, this is going to be replacing our beef in this recipe today. And then I have our noodles here. I just know the next camera angle we have might not be the best, so I wanted to show you here. So I went to our Asian market and I got our sweet potato noodles. I was lucky that they had part of it in English. It was kind of easy though, because they have a whole bunch of rice noodles. So this was actually in a different section completely because it's sweet potato based. But maybe I did get lucky because I feel like the other ones still like showed some of the ingredients, so you were able to at least determine if it has potato or rice in it. But either way, here we go. This is 14 ounces, so we're only going to be using half of this. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We have some soy sauce right here. This is going to be our sauce. It is used multiple times in the recipe. You guys, be so proud of me. I read the recipe ahead of time for once. Insane. And then we have our brown sugar. I prefer brown sugar when it comes to dishes like these. I don't know if it's just the molasses, or well, I mean obviously it has to be the molasses, but I just feel like it really supports the flavors more than a regular sugar. I like to go ahead and try to get the sugar dissolved now in this currently, because it's just going to be harder once we get the seeds in there. But there we go. And then we have our sesame oil. So delicious, so fragrantful. Really a must-have. We have our minced garlic. Cut yesterday because we prepped all of our veggies, including this. And then finally we have our toasted sesame seeds. And I'm just going to give this a mix before we go ahead and add some pepper. I personally am going to add quite a bit of pepper because I like a peppery taste, but this is definitely a little bit more to taste. I mean, this whole recipe is to taste if you think about it. But if you're like not sure, and I don't know, I'm someone like I don't really like to taste test throughout things. I don't know, maybe it's my trust issues. I'm like, I'll see the finished product, thank you. I don't know. Okay, so I don't want this to fall over and out. Okay, after this, we're gonna move over to the stove, and it's going to be a little bit interesting. So I definitely encourage you to check out the recipe that is linked below, because it's going to have, you're gonna understand kind of like why you're only getting to see part of what's going on, because there's a lot of activity and I just wanna make sure I do it right. Essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be boiling these noodles in a pan versus like a pot, like I think a lot of Westerners are used to boiling noodles. And we're then going to be like cooling them off and cutting them off screen in the bowl. So just if you're ever confused about like what steps we did or anything like that, I definitely just encourage you to do that because it won't all be on screen for this one. But I am smelling this. It is smelling so good right now. I'm very excited. And we're gonna keep this on hand with a tablespoon because, like I said, we use it throughout the recipe. With that, let's go ahead and transition. Merry meat again. So this is more at a simmer, but because we are on a gas stove and it just will stay hot and just keep heating up, I'm going to go ahead and add in these noodles now. So with these noodles, you will notice that they have that loop at the end. And so that's important because part of the process is going to be cutting that. I obviously have a much more shallow pan, but kind of expands itself. So we're going to do this, and then we want these to heat up and become completely translucent. But also soft. So translucent is going to be a big part of it, but we also need it to be soft. This is going to be even more important because as soon as it gets soft, we want to help it be submerged in the water. We also want to be careful because this is boiling water. We don't have the high sides that maybe we're used to. Okay. This is pretty much good at this point, so I'm going to go ahead, switch off the camera now, be super safe where I'm going to go ahead and drain these noodles, rinse them in cold water, and carefully, because the noodles will still be hot, that's why we're rinsing them with cold water, but I'm going to cut those ends and I'm going to cut these noodles in half. So if you think about it, we lost the loop, but so these are just very long noodles. So yeah, let's go ahead and get that going. Alright, merry meat again. So we have the noodles marinating in the sauce, and we are here to blanch our spinach. So we have our cups of water boiling already, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and just start putting the spinach in here. So blanching is just a fancy word. I wish I knew what it meant, because I'm pretty sure it is French for something. But essentially, you are just getting your spinach all nice, or whatever green leaf you could be doing, because you can blanch many things. But you can kind of see how it is cooking it, right? And so we're going to get it to a wilted stage where it's like that perfect, like crispy wiltedness, right? That's where we want it. And then we're going to go ahead, take it off of the heat, drain it, and then shock it with cold water, and that's going to stop it from cooking. And so it's going to stay at that perfect crispness of wilt, if you will. And so this is kind of just like a quicker form of cooking spinach, and to get that all in there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stop it at this point because we can see all of our spinach is wilted in that darker green and cooked. And I'm going to drain it. Okay, so here we have some oil, and now we're taking those same noodles that we've had marinating, and if you've noticed, we've been using the same pan the whole time, by the way. So super grateful about that, even though there's a lot of those. So we definitely grab the rubber spatula than the current tool that I'm using. It's fine. But we're going to stir fry these. Okay. They are sticky, so you want to be careful because heating them up is only going to get them a little bit stickier, and we're trying to get that here right now. But you also want to get a little bit of that char on it. So that's why you see me trying to flip it. You can kind of see, hopefully, it's coming through. You get a kind of different translucent. Now we're going again, trying to make it translucent in a different way. Kind of same how that subtle change in the spinach, how it gets that like darker, richer color. That's the same thing that kind of happens here. you're ready, you'll just go ahead and throw this back into that bowl. And we're going to be, so you want a large mixing bowl. I'm sorry, I don't think I said that earlier. Because that's what you're going to be just like putting these noodles back into. This is where we marinated them just now. And this is where we're going to put like all the cooked vegetables and really mix it all together. So you definitely want as large as you can. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and fry up our vegetables. So starting off with our carrots, because they're our densest ones, and so we want them to get cooked up more before we add the rest of our vegetables so that the onions and the scallions do not burn, because they cook a lot faster. So they're going to look a little lonely for a bit. Would have been more impressive if I did it on camera, but it's like barely anything. I just like doing that because it actually helps distribute the oil, and if there's any seasonings, get those all taken care of. So this is just my preferred method. Whatever, salt. So now we're going to go ahead, add in our onion. Sorry, I like to make sure these are broken up. I'm a fan of having a little oil on it. Sometimes it's hard, like for the mushrooms, no oil. But for something like this, just a little bit just makes me feel happier. I also don't think I did the correct amount at the beginning. So. I just like how that goes so much more. Sorry, you're seeing my shadow. Okay. I like those enough to go ahead and add in the scallions. Because it says to just cook these briefly, but I feel like these are just like a wholer onion. Let me chop this one in half again. Please be careful, this is a very hot pan. Don't do as I do. Don't do as I do. So yeah, okay. I should go ahead and try and get that at least on a camera angle. Okay, sorry, my camera, I hit the button when I was trying to pick it up. So here, I just wanted to show you, so a bigger pan is always better, and you're going to put everything towards the front, and then you're going to, oh, it's hard while holding a camera, but you're essentially trying to flip it to the front. If you practice with like a sponge, is how we practice in like a culinary class. And then we practice with beans for getting the whole mixture part, because it's the same concept for both ones. You're trying to flip the entire thing over, And then it's just when they're loose like this, they're gonna fall into themselves a little bit more, mixing themselves a little bit more. But there we go, there's that. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to put these in that bowl with our noodles. Okay, so now is when we need to be a little bit careful because our pan is very hot and we have it in a marinade. So we're gonna go ahead and add our substitute beef here. Oops, sorry. I'm not trying to add all of the sauce that's in these, so I'm squeezing them out with the tongs a little bit before I go ahead and just throw them on here. So yeah, portobellos are already known for like having a nice meaty taste, so I really kind of thought these would be nice. I also liked, and this was kind of my goal, well, that's why I added the seasoning, was for them to shrivel up a little bit so that they look a lot closer to what we would be seeing in this dish. But they'll shrivel up in here as well as they cook. And then we actually can cook the mushrooms with this as well, so if you were cooking meat, you can do this at the same time. But yeah, so we're gonna get them all together, and the final piece of resistance for this part though is that we're actually going, we're actually going to go ahead and add in a few tablespoons of our prepared sauce. So that's why it's not as big of a deal for how it ends up, because it's all going to end up delicious. And then of course, so when it's a stickier thing, I like to use the tongs, make sure I have them. We're just trying to make sure that these get cooked. Since we're not cooking meat, we don't have to be too careful. But these are still, and so it's just however texture you want your mushrooms at. Since they are wet, they're not going to cook down to so much as a crispness, but we are still definitely going to get a chewiness and hopefully a meatier texture. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue cooking these. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish cooking this up, and I'll check in back with you guys for our taste test, because pretty much we're cooking this and we're mixing in our lettuce, the rest of our sauce, in our big mixing bowl. So we'll check in with you soon. Merry meet and welcome. Just reporting in to let you know that this is extremely delicious. If you like Asian cuisine, you probably will love this, and I definitely recommend it. And also now, if you're going out to a Korean restaurant, you may be able to recognize one of the names if you didn't before. And so maybe don't, if this was the sign you needed, this is the sign you needed in order to go out and explore more cuisines outside of your own culture. With that, I'm going to go enjoy this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for being here. Bye.